let's get into the first project. So, for a bit of a understanding of why I'm making this one. So at work, I run two big grinding machines. One of them shares a coolant tank with another one, and the coolant tank, it needs, weekly topping up. It needs topping up with water and coolant, and quite often the coolant, the pipe, like a hose pipe's put into the coolant tank. So imagine this is the coolant tank. Hose pipe gets put in, and it's quite often forgotten. It happens, you go off and do other things at work, and you forget about the coolant tank because it takes so long to fill, and then next thing you know, it's pouring all over the place, and it's in the factory halfway up the way. So to start with, I want to create a sensor. So I want to make a little box that hangs over. You can imagine this is the metal coolant tank, hangs over it like this. The box is on the outside. You can imagine this is the box here, I've drawn it. This is the sensor that stays on the inside, and I want to make something with Arduino. There's basically 12-volt battery powered with a little switch, powered by Arduino, and a water sensor. Goes to a buzzer to tell me and the other fellas, whoever fills it, that once it reaches a certain level, say like it reaches this level, bloop, 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 it senses a buzzer and maybe a little LED. I'm not sure yet, we'll see. I know there's most definitely an easier way to go down this route than Arduino. You could probably do it without any microcontroller, but yeah, I think this is the way I can think of best to do. So I think we're going to need a 3D printed housing. I'm fairly confident I can do that myself. Some Arduino I'm fairly confident in that as well. It's I think it's minimal code. 12-volt battery, 12-volt battery connector, a switch, a buzzer, and a water sensor. And most of these parts I've got lying around from different little projects I've bought, and a lot of them came in, like I bought a Elegoo Arduino set, and a lot of them's in there, so I think I should be fine with that. I don't think there's anything missing. Oh, there might be a relay. I need to have a look on the internet to see how it goes, but there might be a relay needed in there to obviously create a switch, but we'll see. Anyway, that's the first concept. Hope you like it. Thanks very much. Okay, next steps, we're back. So we've got a complete circuit, and it does work. Somehow, some miracle, it works. Basically, as a quick rundown, we've got the Arduino Uno here. That's the microcontroller. That's the brain of it all. It just tells you, upload code to your computer, and it feeds it the code and tells it how to do it, what you want it to do, basically. So we've got the Arduino Uno. That's connected to the buzzer. Buzzer on the breadboard. That's the easy part. Nothing to that. Very simple. The problem started to encounter when I was looking at sensors. So originally I was going to go for something like this. This is what I thought was just a water sensor. So you have a cup full of water, and then as your levels go up, you could get it to sound the alarm when the water levels reach where you want it to. I'll further look into it, and apparently that doesn't. You need another part to it, apparently. So you need something else that goes on this to create the right sensor. I'm not into all that. I'm not interested. So the next thing I went for was the ultrasonic sensor. And this has actually worked a lot better than I thought it was going to do. I thought this was going to be going off at everything in its vicinity, just buzzing at everything. But it's done quite well. So the idea in the code is I've made a couple if statements just to say that when the ultrasonic sensor is within, I've set it to 200 ml of the water. So as the water's coming up within 200 ml, it will set the sensor off, which then obviously sets the buzzer off. And I've also got a little LED, so it buzzes that as well, so you can visually see it and you'll hear it. So the idea is it comes, there you go. I didn't want to get the note, it's going to be close, so as you move closer, it sets it off. Now it's not really got much vision apart from like a straight line, so you can see I'm going over it. It's only when you get right over it that it works, and that's exactly what I wanted. I don't want it to be going off everything around its area, so that should work perfectly. Now next I've got to get it a lot smaller, so let me just grab some stuff and I'll show you the idea of what I've got in my head. One sec. So to get it smaller, I'm obviously going to print a 3D housing, an enclosure. I've got some wire coming from online, some wire. I've got a battery housing because I've looked into using a 9-volt battery and the 9-volt battery wasn't powerful enough. It wasn't powering the Uno and the ultrasonic sensor, so that might be just me. I didn't look into it much, but I've got a 6 AA battery pack coming, so you can put 6 AA batteries in. It just connects to a barrel jack similar to this one. I'll just cut the barrel jack off, cut that off, and then wire it into the pins. Now as for the sensor, see, I was going to use like these 3-pin PCBs, but I actually don't think I'm going to need them. I think I can just, because there's so few wires and so few components, like the sensor, I don't want it on board. I want it, not the sensor, sorry, the buzzer, I want it sticking up out the housing because that's going to make it ultimately louder. Obviously the sensor's going to have to stick out the housing, so, and the LED's going to have to stick out the housing, so there's no point putting loads of stuff onto the PCB. Well, there wouldn't be anything, so I'm just going to wire it together inside the box, and that should work just fine, as long as I solder everything right and put some heat shrink on, which I've just bought. It should be fine. So the next stage, I suppose, is let's get a housing together. If we get back upstairs onto the computer, maybe jump into Fusion 360 and start creating housing for it. I'm hoping that my parcels come today. Right, we're back. So we're in Fusion 360. Excellent. It's exactly where we want to be. But we'll see. I've got a bit of a box sorted, a bit of a housing. So yeah, get back upstairs. I'm not sure whether it's going to be, whether the dimensions are right. As I say, I'm not very good at Fusion 360. Typically I've done my modelling in Blender, but I know it's not accurate, so I'm trying to get away from it. Either way, so it's as simple as 4 walls on the outside and a chamfer face for the ultrasonic sensor. As you can see, I've done 2 holes for the sender and receiver to come through, and that's about it. There's 2 smaller sections. One's for the Arduino on the left, you can see the smaller one, and then the one on the right should be where the batteries will sit. How that's going to go, I don't know, because that was hard to measure, but we'll see. Yeah, might have to bodge a few things, but everything that's done right is bodged, so we'll see. I'm not 100% sure if these 2 walls are connected, so I've erected these 2 walls in the middle. I don't even know if they're connected to the rest of the housing, but it's printing okay, so it should be alright. But if anybody does have any ideas, please let me know in the comments, because it's a hard thing to do, Fusion. I know probably everyone else understands that, but we'll see in the printing stage, which is coming up next. We're back. So we've got a housing. I'm quite impressed with it. I think it's gone really well. There's a few faults, but we'll get to them in the end. This has gone incredible. I don't know how I've got these measurements for the ultrasonic sensor so well. Obviously, as you can see, right, the header pins stick up way past where the lid will be. That's because it's upside down, just so I can test it at the minute. So when it's actually in there and all soldered up, it'll sit further down. It won't extrude the top of the housing. But that is absolutely perfect. I've took apart an old walkie-talkie, took the contacts out, managed to get these. Now the problem we're facing is I think it's a bit close with the batteries in case of any, you know, kind of continuous connection. I think a little bit of slippage and it might create a connection that we don't want. So I'm actually gonna do another version, and I'm going to include, you know, so you often see in like a lot of housings for electronics and stuff, when they've got AAA batteries or AA batteries to divide, they've got like a spike, like a mountain, like a pyramid almost, that sits on the bottom and just stops any contacts from touching anything. So I'm going to involve one of them, and I've also, I haven't got the Nano with me. The Nano doesn't fit in there, so I think I'm gonna do something different with the housing for that. I'm not 100% sure yet, because it does actually work. It sits on there quite snug, which would allow you to put wires underneath, so that actually could work, but we'll see. So I'm gonna redesign a second one. Only takes an hour to print, so yeah, so we're gonna do that. I'm gonna jump back into Fusion 360 and create another one, so we'll see how we get on with that one. Right, so an unbelievable amount of time and a few rookie steps later, we're back and we've got a finished sensor. It's got a little smiley face on him. I've done a little bit of cleaning up and deburring, not too much. Switch there, LED there, buzzer there. I'm thinking about making some housing to go around like the buzzer, and maybe even the eyes in like a different colour just to make it look a bit neater. But I'm not 100% sure yet, but it's done. And it means I can go to work. So now I've just got to come up with something to mount it to the tank, and that should be the first project done. I accidentally, because I'm a fool, I was super gluing this in to position, and it got into the switch. So as I'm sure you all understand, with super glue it goes off ridiculously quick, and it had super glued the switch into one position, so I had to get all that out, and then it was just chaotic. But it's done now, so I'm over the moon with it. I think it's excellent for my first project. So I'm going to jump back into Fusion and create the mounting fixture for the tank. So that's next. As you can see, guys, I'm really sorry, but I did forget to record this part. I was running out of time, needed to get it finished, so once I'd got my completed sensor, I just cracked on with the mounting system. I'll be honest, it went really well. I was over the moon with it. I've made a slight slit, as you can see in the photo here, for it to sit on the edge of the tank, and it's incredible. It's really strong, you know. It's quite sturdy. When I think about what I was imagining, it was nothing like how it's gone. I've made it's like a pivoting hinge that works excellent, so you can adjust where the sensor's going, and all in all, it's just come out really well. I've made some decals to go on the top, and it just looks really good. So that's my first project done, and my first video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate if you could like, comment, subscribe, anything to help out. You know, I'm just getting started. Any suggestions you've got, anything you think I could make next, any improvements to the product, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching. Lab 23 over and out.